So first off, let me be honest and tell y'all I never thought I'd say these words again. But hey MartiManiacs, it's me Marty and welcome back to MartiMania. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? So it feels good to be back. Let me start by saying that. So this is like kind of my coming back video after after it's probably been about 7 years. Wait, let me check. I don't want to lie. Hold on. So the last video I posted on MartiMania was on July 30th, 2014. It is now, today when I'm shooting this, it is January 23rd of 2022. I wanted to come on here and kind of talk about like why I decided to stop following WWE, why I kind of left the whole WWE community, and well, kind of left, like I was always like 1 foot in, but why I where I've been and why I decided to come back. So there's a lot to get to. So girl, let's go to the ring. Okay, so whoop, this ring light. Oh my god. Okay, so this question I actually get asked a good bit, especially because I still have my Twitter page open. The MartiMania Twitter page, the MartiMania Twitter page, the Marty_Mania Twitter page, that is still open. And I actually kind of like, I don't know, I guess because I was so deep into it. Like I mean y'all, when I say I went into so many shows, I stopped counting at 30. WrestleMania 30 happened to be my 30th show. I stopped counting after that, but I went to a couple more shows after that, and then of course the last show I went to was WrestleMania 34. So here's why I stopped going. So I was like real deep into it. Like I had been to by the time WrestleMania 34 came around, I'd been to 4 WrestleManias. I've been to Raw Rumble, Survivor Series. I can't even tell y'all how many Raws and SmackDowns between the Toyota Center in Houston and the Cajun Dome in Lafayette. I had been to so many shows I literally cannot even remember like the whole amount. I still have a stack of ticket stubs somewhere in this house. I don't know exactly where, but it's like that thick because I used to keep the ticket stubs to everything I went to. Hall of Fame, fan access. I was watching the first match I ever remember watching, oddly enough, was actually the Montreal Screwjob. I actually watched it with my father, and like he was into wrestling, so I watched it with him. And I mean, I was a little girl. I don't even know if I saw it live or if I saw it like on a DVD or something, or a videotape. Yeah, she's showing her age. Yeah, I was really, really deep in it. And then, of course, you get older. I kind of grew out of it. My parents got divorced, so the wrestling part was like kind of out of my life because it was so far connected to my dad. And I kind of fell out of it. And then my cousins all kind of got into it. I am the oldest of 10 grandkids total. And all my little cousins kind of got into it. So I started watching it when they were watching it. When they would go to shows, I'd watch it to see them in the crowd. And then I kind of just got back into it. And I remember the first WWE show I watched all the way through was WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. And I watched SmackDown a couple times because for those of you who don't know, my cousin is actually Rodney Mack. So when he was on SmackDown, we used to watch it. When he would have a match, we'd all kind of get together and watch it as a family. And when Jazz would have matches too, because she's married to Rodney Mack. Shout out to Rodney and Jazz. Hey, I'm back, y'all. Yeah, I know I said I'd never do it again, but I'm back again. So in watching Rodney Mack, I started to really get kind of back into it. And I remember specifically he had this tag team match with this young upstart crazy white boy who sounded like he had grew up in the hood his whole life, John Cena. And they were a tag team partner. So I started watching it and I was like, this dude is annoying me and he aggravates the crap out of me. And then somewhere along the line, I became a huge John Cena fan. And then I started just kind of watching it again. I don't remember the first show that I went to. Oh, I do remember the first show I went to. It was December 12th, 2005. I'm sorry, it was December 5th, 2005. And what happened was, crazy story. Okay, I had bought my first 2 tickets to go to WWE shows. It was going to be a SmackDown house show here in Lafayette and a Raw house show here in Baton Rouge. I didn't know that they were called house shows, but it was, you know what a house show is, but we got there expecting to see Titantrons go, and we were like, So anyway, we had those 2 shows booked, and then Hurricane Katrina came through, and I don't need to explain to y'all what happened with that, but we had a bunch of evacuees that had to stay in the Cajun Dome, so everything got pushed back. During that time, my favorite superstar of all time, Eddie Guerrero, died. And so I never got to see him perform because they backed the show up so far that it was from September to March of 2005. And as we all know, I believe it was October. Was it October 13th that he passed away? Or was it November? Hold on. I can't remember. I think one is his birthday and one was when he passed away. Kind of, November 13th. Okay, it was November 13th. Yeah. October 9th is his birthday. That's what I thought. Okay. So the show was originally scheduled for September, and then Katrina came in August, and it pushed the show all the way back to March. Well, within that time, Eddie passed away. And what wound up happening was the show in Baton Rouge was rescheduled first for December. Now, let me show y'all some age here. The main event of that match was John Cena versus Kurt Angle. That's how long ago it was. So, anyway, you get really involved, you fall down the rabbit hole, you fall really in love with it. I was getting to the point where I never missed a Raw, SmackDown, and so I got really deep into it. I started going to shows. I mean, when I tell y'all I would go to shows, baby, I would go to shows. I would be on a bus. I was taking, we didn't even have Ubers yet. The reason I have this 2005 necklace on is because that's the year I went to my first show, and it was also the year I graduated high school. So to kind of put in perspective how old I actually am, people always say I don't look that age, but yeah, she's in her 30s. So I used to go like y'all. Yeah, anyway, that's a tell for a whole other time. So that's a long roundabout way to get to why I actually wound up not watching anymore and kind of leaving. There was a shift somewhere along the lines, and I'm going to talk more about this in a video. I have an idea for a video about how social media ruined professional wrestling, but I'll get into that another time. But there was this time period where something shifted and the internet became way more of a factor in the WWE than anything else. And especially as far as the fans were concerned. I'll be honest with y'all, the majority of the reason I left was the WWE fans. I could not stand anymore and I blame Matt Hardy for this, and like I said, I have a video idea for this later, but there was something that happened where people started to think they got a peek behind the curtain, and people started using words like heat and face and heel and kayfabe and push, and it oh my god, y'all, it got to the point where no one was watching the show for the show. And I think that's social media in general, but that's a tell for a whole other time. But it got to the point where people were like going to the internet to almost figure out who they were supposed to cheer and boo, and it like flipped everything on its head. And it got to the point where it was like, if you had 2 hours of video footage on YouTube, people wanted you to go to WrestleMania and headline it. And I was like, this is stupid. I'm not fixing to sit here and it just got so dumb. Like it got to the point where people were booing and cheering people based on pretty much who everybody else booed and cheered. And I remembered there was a show I went to. I want to say it was a Raw. I think it was a televised Raw. And I remember sitting there watching this match. It was Shelton Benjamin and I want to say Clark Gable, but don't. Chad Gable, not Clark Gable. What is it? It was Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. And I remember sitting there watching it. And I remember there was the "This is boring" chant. And I'm looking around and I'm like, how can this match is freaking, this is a clinic. The clinic, the real wrestling y'all all wanted, we're watching it right now, and like y'all are chanting it's boring. And then I realized during the main event, it was, I can't remember what the match was, but I remember everybody was like this. And we were the only ones, my little cousin and I, we were the only ones that were like actually watching the match. And I was like, people are really reading dirt sheets, NoDQ.com, PW Inside, I'm looking at y'all. People are reading dirt sheets to see who's going to win the match instead of sitting and watching the match. And I was just like, this is so dumb. This is the stupidest thing. So I started to kind of distance myself from there. There was other stuff too that I'm going to get into in a second. But that the fans were a major part in it, and specifically the fans as far as the internet and how it was influencing matches was concerned. So then, fine, so that happened. That was so annoying. But then I found too, around the WWE ECW days, like when the ECW thing kind of came back and Sabu was there and RVD and Test and like all these people were on WWE ECW. And I remember there was a time when the fans got so mean to one another. Like you couldn't say anything at a show. When you would say something at a show and people get so mad at me, y'all have to understand, I was like an 18-year-old girl over there, and I knew what I was talking about, which is funny because gentlemen, and I'm talking to y'all gentlemen, A lot of times y'all think it would be so cool to have a girlfriend that's into this and into football and into wrestling and da da da. But when you think she knows more than you, then it's a problem. I used to get cursed out by grown ass men, like in my face, screaming at me because I cheered for John Cena or because I went there in a John Cena shirt. I'm trying to think of some. There was no one else that really got the amount of hate that John Cena would get. And like by proxy, his fans were getting hate. And that was crazy because most of his fans, it's no secret at this point, were kids and women. And like, y'all, when I tell y'all, I used to get into it with people. Like, I mean, we used to sit on the floor. I'll try to insert some pictures if I could find some. It's so long ago, I don't know if I have any, but we had kind of a hookup at the Cajun Dome. So we used to sit on the floor every time Raw would come. And like, there was such vitriol and just anger in some of these grown men towards like me and my little cousins and my family members. Like, I remember there was one time specifically, my little cousin, I'm not gonna say her name in case she wants to be anonymous, but so there was one time they did a "Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks" chant. Yeah, y'all know that's not new. And she did the little "Let's Go Cena," and this grown man in front of us turns around and just yells it in her face, "Cena sucks!" And I mean, she was probably 8. It blew my freaking mind. And it got to the point where I had to try to decide if I was going to bring her to Raw or not. And that's when I was like, I'm good on y'all. This is too much. Y'all doing too much. And just the arguing with people online. I mean, people go for the jugular. And the thing is, the internet back then wasn't what it is now. Like, I wasn't used to that crap. Like, I couldn't say, that CM Punk match wasn't that great without people being like, I hope you die, I hope your mom dies, I hope this like, it was, y'all, I kid you not, it was crazy. There was also a specific show, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember they were in Chicago, CM Punk had already quit, and I remember they had this thing floating around online about how fans were going to hijack the show, and literally they were tweeting people when to stand up and when to sit down, and people were planning to follow it. It got to the point where I was like, what are we going to the show for then? If everybody just wants a moment on TV or a moment to say, yeah, I was there when I did this, where no one's actually watching the show, I was like, I'm good. Here's the other issue I had. So that was part of my issues with the fans. Another thing I had a lot of, and now that I'm older, I guess I kind of get why, but there were certain shows that I would walk in, and from the time I would walk into the time I would walk out, I would get called a ring rat, I would get called a slut, I would get called a hoe, and I mean, I wasn't doing anything but sitting there watching the show. But literally, when people couldn't debate me about stuff, that's what they would start saying. And again, I would go with my family, which I would think most people did, but I mean, y'all just don't even know. I would get like, same thing online. Like, let me show y'all my age for a minute. My MySpace comment section used to be like the worst place to be. It was like, it was crazy. And thank God we didn't have social media until I was already like basically senior in high school was when social media really started to blow up. Because like kids these days and age, I don't know how they can handle that, because that crap used to be tough. I used to think I was a bad age chick and all that, and like, talk smack back, but it sometimes people would go really in on me, and it was kind of hard. And then you would go to shows and like people are crazy. I didn't know who was going to show up at shows that had said something mean to me in my comment section. Now, by the same token, let me be clear, I met some of the coolest freaking people. Some people I still consider friends to this day. I've hung out with them in person and, just been friends with them since, like, literally down since day one. I know there's a lot of John Cena references in here. Those of y'all that know me well know exactly why. That was a big chunk of my life for a really long time. But literally down since day one. And they are some of the coolest people that I've ever met in my life. And they did come from that community. So I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying it got to be a lot, for a kid, basically. I was 17, 18 years old. And walking in, sitting down, and being called a ring rat the whole night. Like, anytime I cheer for anybody or against somebody that everybody else liked, I was a ring rat. And like I said, that happened a lot. And the thing is, like, can I say this? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I did have people sliding in my DMs before sliding in my DMs was a thing. Like, again, let me show my age here. I had people sliding in my messages on MySpace, and like as soon as I got a an Instagram, the same certain superstars would slide back in my DMs. Don't worry, I'm not gonna expose y'all. I see y'all watching. I'm not gonna expose y'all. There's no reason. We're all old as hell now. So, but it was like it was like there was nothing I would do that would warrant that response. And the thing is, it would be men, but it was also a lot of women. Like if there was another woman there, and God forbid, I don't know, like I caught Rey Mysterio's shirt at a show one time. The amount of stuff I was told because Rey Mysterio threw me his shirt. Really, girl? I mean, and like I said, I was like, this was what? I think I might have been a freshman in college, but like, wasn't that serious. And it was just crazy. Like, you would get, like, they used to pan the crowd for the Titantron. And there was one time I remember I got on the Titantron for something. I don't remember what it was. If you ever been to a show, you know what I'm talking about. Well, not anymore, but the old shows, they would have like this section when they go to commercial, and they'd walk around and ask questions, and they'd do stupid dances and stuff. They'd make you do a dance, and they show you on the Titantron. I got on the Titantron a couple times, and every time that would happen, I kid you not, it was like, oh my God, I can't. It was, yeah, it was like, oh, who's she effing? Girl, I paid for my ticket just like everybody else. I sat my behind here with my cousins, and they have to hear you. I mean, they're like 10, 13, 14 years old, hearing their older cousin be called a slut for 3 hours straight. Like, it was... All that aside, I started to kind of distance myself as I got older, because I was like, the fun of the thing is just not worth it. And I mean, like, y'all, that was hard. That was a hard decision to make. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, because that feeling when the lights go down, even the feeling, and real wrestling fans will know what I'm talking about, when you get that ticket, when you start to get up, I don't know about y'all, but I used to get up for pre-sales, and like, when you sign in the Ticketmaster, and you're seeing the stuff showing up, you get so excited about it. And when I used to start, it's hard to say, but it's the truth. I used to start to get nervous when I'd buy tickets, because I'd be like, now I have to go, and I don't know what's going to be going on over there. And so I just stopped going. I stopped kind of caring about it that much. I remember when WrestleMania 34 came. It's kind of a weird story. My cousin and I went to a show. I think it was a SmackDown house show. I'm pretty sure it was a SmackDown house show. Again, I'll put pictures here if I remember to do that. And I remember we were standing there, and I asked her, I said, if there was one thing, because this cousin of mine is an amazing kid, like, gifted and talented program, straight A's, just an amazing, amazing kid. So what she wanted to do when she would want to do something, I would do it. So I asked her at a show one time, because she loved wrestling too. I asked her, I said, if there was one thing you could do with the WWE, what do you want to do? And she said she wanted to go to WrestleMania. WrestleMania 31 had just happened, and I was like, you know, they just came for 30. I can't see them coming back that soon after 34. They announced 34, and I was like, okay. Long story short, we got into a really bad car wreck, and I remember the next day after the car accident, they announced that WrestleMania was going to go back to New Orleans. And I was like, well, we're going. She asked for one thing. We just went through this horrible experience. The car accident, actually, we were leaving SmackDown when we got into a really, really bad accident. And we're sitting there at the lawyer's office talking about the options and everything, what we need to do to pursue this case and all that. And they make the announcement. It shows up on my phone that WrestleMania is going back to New Orleans. So I was like, well, after all of that crap, we're going to New Orleans. But I had already kind of decided in my mind that that was going to be my last WWE show, was going to be WrestleMania New Orleans. And the next video I'm going to post is going to be the WrestleMania 34 like trip and everything, because I used to post live footage all the time on my old channel. I'll insert some cards here. Yeah, so anyway, I had already kind of decided WrestleMania 34 was going to be my last show. I was going to do the whole weekend, like from the Hall of Fame all the way to WrestleMania, and then bounce on it. And that's exactly what happened, because I can't tell y'all everything that happened, but I remember specifically WrestleMania 34. It just wasn't a good show, like from beginning to end. With or without the fans, it wasn't really a good show, but with the fans, it was worse. Because I remember they started this, and I know it's going to sound small and stupid to y'all, but like, it pissed me off so bad. We're sitting there during the last match. I want to say it was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And they had this freaking beach ball, this big inflatable beach ball. Now, I know WrestleMania is an international crowd. It's not just the people around, but like, I'm not from New Orleans, but I'm from right outside of New Orleans. New Orleans is like my second home. And you can't do stuff like that. And I remember they bought this beach ball, and I don't know how they got it in, that I'm going to touch on in a little bit, but let me stop distracting myself. But anyway, so they had these beach balls, and I remember security kept getting the beach balls and like deflating them, which, duh, obviously. And I remember they started this beach balls matter chant. Here's my issue with that. Black Lives Matter had like kind of just happened. Like Trayvon Martin was still fresh, and we live in, and aggravated again just thinking about it. We live in Louisiana, and they had just had, there were so many of them back to back, y'all. I can't remember. There was one that happened in Baton Rouge, and it was really fresh. And I don't think, like I said, it's an international crowd, so I guess maybe they didn't know, or maybe they didn't care. I mean, Kid Rock had got inducted to the Hall of Fame that weekend, so they started this Beach Balls Matter chant, and I was pissed. And I wasn't pissed at the WWE, but I was like, as I was sitting there, I was like, this fandom is not me anymore. I can't do this. So I left. And that was it. And when I tell y'all I left, I'd already kind of become disinterested in it because so much was changing so quick. So many people were getting title shots that to me hadn't earned them. There were so many new people coming in, and nothing was really changing. It was just like recycling the same crap over and over and over again. And I was like I remember Zack Ryder got a push because the fans were like, oh my god, we want Ryder. For what? No one could ever tell me for what. And it got to that point where I was like, I'm done, I'm finished with this. So I left. And like I said, when you're as deep as I was, you're always kind of 1 foot in, like, because I had spent so much time in there. Like, even like all my friends that I met through wrestling would post stuff, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's kind of nice. Oh, that happened. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's weird. This happened. Like, that's kind of how it was. And I remember I had a different cousin live with me for a little while, and he was really big into NXT when NXT had kind of started on the WWE network. And I remember NXT was like kind of a breath of fresh air until they brought it to cable. What's making me come back? Well, first of all, the MartiMania Twitter account was never shut down. The MartiMania YouTube channel was never closed. I just can't get into it. That's why I had to make a new channel. Again, the last video I posted was 7 years ago. I have a different phone number. I don't even remember the email address. So MartiMania 2012 is not going to be the channel. It will be MartiMania 2022 is my plan, but I can't name the URL yet anyway, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But I would be watching things happen and kind of hear things through the grapevine. And like I said, I was so deep into it that I would always, and I've always followed a lot of wrestlers. Like, I always followed Adam Cole. I always followed AJ Styles. I always followed, why can't I think of his name? He's not there. He's in ROH. Dalton Castle. I always followed Dalton Castle. I always was like, y'all know, like, you're always 1 foot in. I started watching AEW. I saw a couple of their episodes, actually on vacation of all places. And I remember thinking, I should sign back into my Twitter page. And so I signed back into the MartiMania Twitter account, and I noticed a weird thing. It had been gaining followers even though I wasn't tweeting. So I was like, I cannot believe that people still kind of cared about what I had to say about things. So I started tweeting again, and I asked people, I was like, hey, do y'all want MartiMania to come back? And I remember I was sitting in my glam room. That's where I'm at right now. Like, I have this room called the glam room, the closet, the office, da-da-da. And I remember I was sitting there, and I have another channel, Glam with Marty. It's like a makeup beauty channel. Don't worry about that. Y'all don't care about that kind of stuff. But anyway, I was sitting there, and I remember, for whatever reason, it pulled up a MartiMania picture. And I posted the picture on Instagram of, I said, it's like my past and my present colliding. And I saw that picture, and I was like, man, you know what? Maybe we should check this out again. I missed some really big moments. I missed Kofi finally getting his title shot. I mean, y'all. Finally getting his title shot and title, because he had been so overlooked for so long. I missed that, and that was rough. It's like, dude, I wanted Kofi to win for so long. I literally, the next year after I quit watching, he wins. And then the whole thing with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair this year, headlining WrestleMania, insane. I was aggravated that I missed that. And something else that kind of got me into it, my sister, y'all remember her, she used to host Outside Interference on my old channel. She has a little girl now, my goddaughter, and I remember we were trying to find something for her to watch during the pandemic because we all like quarantined together for a little while. And I remember we wound up watching SmackDown, and as soon as it came on, John Cena came out, and her eyes just like, she was like, I don't know what this is, but it's awesome. She's 3 now. I think she was 2 at the time. She was like, whoa. So we sat there and we watched it. it just kind of slowly started dragging me back. Oh, not just him, but John Cena and Batista and The Rock, like, especially John Cena with this Peacemaker crap, I can't get away from him. Like, he's on the Honda commercials, he's on TV, he's in Peacemaker, he's on these movies, he's in the Fast and the Furious, he's all over the place, and like every time I hear his voice, it makes me miss going to the WWE. I know I cultivated a lot of my WWE stuff around John Cena when I was younger, but then towards like WrestleMania 34, I was kind of done with him. Like, he was kind of part-time and I didn't really care much anymore. But it's like, dude, I could not escape that man. And because I was so deep into the John Cena fandom, like every time something would happen with him, people would call me and be like, hey, did you see John Cena's doing this? Did you see John Cena's doing that? And I'm like, girl, leave me alone. So, all of that being said, I took my two cousins to WrestleMania. One of the biggest things in my life was being able to kind of fit the bill to take them both to WrestleMania. I took one to his first WrestleMania at WrestleMania 30, and then I took him again to 34, and I took my other little cousin to her first WrestleMania at WrestleMania 34. Yeah, it was just time to come back. I'd been asking people if they thought I should come back on my MartiMania Twitter. Every time I post something wrestling related, I would get asked all the time, are you coming back? Is MartiMania coming back? I need some impressions. I need to know what you think about this. How do you feel about that? Because my takes were always kind of different from everyone else's. Y'all want me back? Guess what? Guess who's Bazak? Not Jeff Hardy. Me. I'm back. So, yeah, I'm back, but I am going to structure this channel a little differently now. It's not going to be so much, at least for the foreseeable future, it's not going to be so much like Raw recaps, SmackDown hangover. It's not going to be like that anymore. I kind of want to just delve into, like, my perspective on professional wrestling, like, from my time. So, I'm going to do, like, top 10s, bell to bell match coverage, like old matches, like watching old matches and kind of do commentating. I think I might start doing Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown lives on YouTube. So let me know if y'all want to see that, because I'm not going to do that if I'm going to be the only one sitting there talking. It's that way I can watch it with y'all. If y'all are still into it, I'm still into it. We can watch it together. And I will say there's a lot of changes. I've been trying to get caught up on Raw and SmackDown and NXT, all that stuff. I've been trying to kind of get back into it. I love the amount of diversity they have in it right now. I love that from what I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like it's the same champions over and over again. Roman Reigns is a heel, and y'all love it. Like, that's crazy. I never thought I'd see the day that people were, like, eating up everything Roman Reigns had to say. Yeah, y'all are into Roman Reigns. I didn't see that coming. I feel like the women are really starting to get their fair share. And I know we had the women's evolution and all that crap with the Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and all that crap, but it's not like the women are not a novelty anymore. It's not like, oh, come see them all. They're naked in a bra and panty match. But it's also not, look, they're not naked in a bra and panty match. Their matches are just like every other match. I've been getting into the new talent. I love Bianca Belair. She is, like, amazing. I love Zelina. I actually saw Zelina Vega at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. She was amazing. She was managing Andrade Cien Almas, I think. Like, I love me some Johnny Gargano. I was really into Aleister Black. That sucked. And that was one of the things that they really messed up on. I love Finn Balor. I think I was into Finn Balor before I left. Mostly for me, what's really bringing me back into it is that I feel like the fans are re-falling in love with it again. I feel like we're getting off our phones more and getting more into the shows. Yeah, so that's what's in store, y'all. I'm really excited to be back. Let me know if there's anything in particular you guys want to see. I'm going to link the old channel down below. If you were subscribed to the old channel, please subscribe to this one, because I can't get into that one. I'm ready to get back to it. Because I have a lot of ideas for stuff I want to talk about. A lot of deep dives, a lot of conversations I want to have, and I just feel like this is the place to have those conversations. So, yeah. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave it down in the comment section below. Again, I will link all my social medias at Marty05 for me, at MartiMania for the show on Twitter. I'll have other links down below if you guys need to hit me up anywhere else. Thank you guys so much for watching, and it's been a long time since I said this, but dude, life is freaking hard and crazy right now, so always kick out at 2. Try not to tap out. See y'all next time.